Hey everybody, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. Do you like whimsical boho necklaces? And do you like layering short and long necklaces? If you answered yes, you're in the right place, because today we're going to be making this very whimsical boho chic necklace set, and we're going to be using the beads that came in Sam's bead box for the month of January. Now if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave a link to the website down below so you can go check it out. I'll also leave a coupon code in case you're interested. As you can see, the long necklace features a beautiful jasper donut focal, as well as a checked glass carved bird, and lots of other beautiful check beads. And for those of you who like something a little more dainty, we're going to be making a choker length necklace to go with it. So you can wear one or the other or both. And I can't wait to show you how to make this necklace set. So let's go ahead and get started. And here we have Sam's bead box for the month of January 2024. The name of this box is Turquoise Trails, and boy was this collection a feast for the eyes. It was filled with beautiful colors inspired by the breathtaking landscapes and sunsets of Arizona. There were turquoise colors, mustard colors, pink and terracotta colors, as well as some picture jasper and agate beads. But what really inspired me was a gorgeous jasper donut focal, as well as a checked glass carved bird. When I saw that bird focal, I knew I had to use it. And if you haven't seen the unboxing video, I'll link it down below in the description section of this video. So let's go over the materials for today's project. Here are the beads we're going to be using from Sam's bead box. As you can see, there are quite a few here. There's quite an array, and I want to go over them with you, but I don't want to go into any great detail because this video will end up being too long. In any case, there'll be a list of the materials down below in the description section of this video with all the sizes and the colors and everything in case you didn't get the box, so you can search for them on the internet somewhere. But anyway, here we have some table cut flower beads. They're turquoise with Picasso, and they measure 10 millimeters in size. And up here we have some Hishi beads. They're made out of picture jasper, and they measure 3 by 6 millimeters. And here we have some agate smooth round beads. They're dyed orange, but it's a mix of orange colors. Some are more orange than others, and they measure 8 millimeters in size. And here we have some fire polished rounds. The color is terracotta, and they measure 6 millimeters in size. And here we have some daisy spacer beads. The color is also terracotta, and they measure 5 millimeters in size. Here we have some melon beads. The color is turquoise with a brown wash, and they measure 5 millimeters in size. And here we have some button-style flower beads. The color is pink and green mix with a bronze luster finish, and these tiny ones are bicones. The color is pink stone, and they measure 4 millimeters in size. Here we have some druck rounds. The color is turquoise and seafoam opal mix, and they measure 4 millimeters in size. And here we have a beautiful picture jasper donut focal. It measures 25 millimeters in size, and this one's a checked glass carved bird. The color is mustard yellow with a bronze wash, and it measures 11 by 21 millimeters in size. And these cute leaf beads at the bottom are carved leaf beads. The color is pink stone, and they measure 12 by 17 millimeters. And by the way, all of these glass beads are checked glass beads. Let me show you what else we're going to be using today. I'll be using some seed beads, and these are round Toho seed beads. They measure size 8O, and the color is bronze metallic matte. We're going to be using some nylon cord for the long necklace and some beading wire for the short necklace. I don't exactly know the color of this one, but it's a medium brownish color, and it's 0.8 millimeters thick. And the beading wire is 49 strand beading wire, and it's 0.015 inches thick, or 0.38 millimeters, and this is in a bronze color. But I don't have too much, and I don't really need that much. We're going to use it for the short necklace, so that should be sufficient. I'll be using some craft wire today. This one's 20 gauge and this one's 26 gauge, and they're both in a bronze color. And here are some findings. I have some clamshell covers. I have one flat head pin, one large link that I took from a piece of chain. I always try to go to the International Gem and Jewelry Show, which comes to my area several times a year. And whenever I do, I always buy some chain. And here's the piece of chain that I took it from. As you can see, the links are pretty large, and they're actually soldered, but I used a memory wire cutter, and that's how I remove one of these links. In my opinion, it's much cheaper to buy a piece of chain like this than to buy rings individually. But anyway, it measures about 15 by 10.5 millimeters. And here I have a bunch of ball head pins. I'm going to use them to create some dangles for the long necklace. And I have some 6mm size jump rings. And just when I thought I had all the materials, I forgot one important thing. We need a couple of lobster clasps for the necklaces. And all of these items are in a bronze color. And I think that's about it. I don't think I've forgotten anything. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by creating the pendant. As you can see, I have my carved bird, my jasper donut focal, 1 table cup flower bead, my 4mm bite cones, 4mm dry crowns, and 5mm daisy spacer beads. I have a piece of 20 gauge wire, and we're going to start by wrapping it around this focal. So I'm going to go in like this, and you want to go in about 1/3 of the way down the wire, something like that. And now I'm going to bend it. I'm pressing it against the focal bead so it's nice and snug. Cross it. So that's what we have so far. And now using my pliers, I'm going to bend this one this way and this one upward like this. So that's what you should have. And now I'm going to do a couple of wraps. So I'm going to grab the wire to the left of where the 2 pieces cross. And now using some other pliers, I'm going to grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Actually, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do a total of 3 wraps. And now I'm going to cut off the excess. I'm using my flush cutters. And I'm going to go ahead and tuck it in, even though it's not that important, because this wrap is actually going to be covered up with beads. So this is what it looks like. And I think I'm going to have it hanging like this. Or do you think I should have it like this? I'm not really sure. I guess I can decide that later. It really doesn't matter because I think it's going to spin around anyway, which is fine. I have a piece of 26 gauge wire, and this piece is about 12 inches long, something like that. But before we use it, we have to attach the bird. So let me go ahead and slide it onto this wire. Just like that. And now this flower bead. Like that. And I don't know why I cut myself such a long piece of wire because I really don't need all this. But I'm going to go ahead and make a wrap loop now. So I'm going to grab the wire at the top of the bead like this. Bend it. Switch to this part of the wire. Wrap the tail around the nose of my pliers. Flip my pliers around. Continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to snip off some of this excess wire and use it for some other project. So now I'm going to grab this loop with these pliers. These are actually crimping pliers. I like to use them to do wrap loops because they grab the loops really well. And using these pliers, I'm going to grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. So now I need to cut off the excess. Tuck in that little end. And you want the loop to be this way. So that's what I have so far. Isn't that cute? It's so adorable. I love it. So let me show you how to do this. I'm going to take the wire and wrap it around the 3 wraps that I created below that bird. And you don't have to be neat for this process. So now that I've wrapped it a few times, I'm going to go ahead and snip this off. Tuck it in. So now we're ready to add some beads. And this is where you get to be creative. You can add any of these beads in any order. And actually, I just realized I'm missing some beads. Let me go get them. I'm missing the button style flower beads. And I'm probably not going to use all of these. So let me show you. I'm going to start with one of these turquoise colored beads. these are the duck rounds, and I'm going to bring it down like this. And now I'm going to take my wire and wrap it around those 3 wraps. So there's 1 bead. And now let me go ahead and add one of these bicones. Bring it down to my work and wrap around my wire. Let me add one of these now. Bring it down so that it's close to the rest of the beads, like this, and wrap it around. And you don't have to wrap it around twice. You can just wrap it around once. I did a couple of extra wraps in the beginning just to get going. And now let me see if I can add one of these daisy spacer beads. Bring it down. And wrap my wire around. And now another one of these bicones. Bring it down. Actually, let me switch. I want to add one of these button style beads. Bring it down. Position it where I want it, like this, and wrap it around. Let me add one of these turquoise beads. Bring it down. As close as I can to those beads, and then wrap it around. And you'll notice everything starts to get really tight. And now one of these pink beads. Bring it down. Position it where you want, and then wrap the wire around. So that's what we have so far. And there's the other side. So I'm just going to keep wrapping these beads around until I think I have enough, and then I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, I'm adding my last bead, and I'm going to place it right there, I think. And now I'm simply going to wrap the rest of this wire around the base of that bird. I don't have that much wire left. Let me use my pliers. I think that's good enough. So I'm going to snip off the excess. Let me tuck in that little piece. And I'm going to poke these pieces of wire in as well, so you don't see them as much. But even if you do, it doesn't really matter because it's supposed to look organic. And you can actually move them around if you need to, a little bit, as long as it's not too tight. Let me fix my loop. Let me poke these pieces of wire in as well, just a little bit. You have to be careful because this is 26 gauge wire and it will break. That's good enough. So this part's complete and I think it's adorable. Let me put these beads away. So now I'm going to create a little dangle that's going to hang below there. Here are the beads for that dangle. I have a melon bead and 3 hishi beads. Here's a head pin and here's my oval. This part's really easy. I'm going to slide on the hishi beads first. And now the melon bead, like this. I'm going to grab my pin right above the bead, bend it, cut off the excess at about 1/2 inch, I would say. And now I'm going to grab the pin with my round nose pliers, making sure that it's flush, and I'm going to form a loop. Just like that. And now I need to open up this oval. And this is very tough metal. Let me slide my pendant into it now. Let me open it up a little bit more, I think. That's better. And now I'll slide this dangle onto it as well and close it. I want to make sure I close it really well. So there's my finished pendant. Isn't it beautiful? I think it's adorable. So now we're going to move on to the strands. Let me get the materials for that. Here are the beads I'm going to be using for the strands. As you can see, I've already created some dangles. I'm going to have a total of 6 dangles. And I've already loaded some beads on a ball head pin. Let me show you how to do that. Here are my beads. I have a drop round at the bottom, a daisy spacer bead, and a bicone bead at the top. I'm going to grab the pin with my round nose pliers, bend it, switch to this part of the pin, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to grab the loop with these pliers, grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck in the little sharp bend if you see one. So now I have 6 dangles. And here I've cut myself a very long piece of nylon cord. It's about 60 inches, I would say. We need a lot because we're going to be doing some knotting. And I'm going to prepare these ends. I need to melt the end a little bit to make it easier to thread through the beads. And whenever I do this kind of thing, I always protect my fingers. These are actually used for hot glue gun work, and they're called finger protectors. So I'm going to go ahead and melt the end, because I want to have a nice thin pointy end. Let me do a little bit more. Hopefully that's enough. Let me do this other one. I think that should be sufficient. Let me snip off this little end, this thread. So the first thing we're going to do is string on 2 seed beads, size 8/0. Bring them down to the center of the cord. So I'm going to grab both pieces like this and bring my seed beads down to the center. There's the center. And now I'm going to create a knot on one side. And whenever I do knotting, I like to use these tweezers. These are jewelry tweezers, and these are excellent for creating knots. I'll show you how to use them in just a second. I'm going to wrap the cord around my finger like this to create a loop. And now I'm going to take my end and go through the loop like this. Pull it through. And now with my tweezers, I'm going to go in through the loop like this and grab the cord to the right of where the seed beads are, just like this. And now I'm going to pull, slide my tweezers out, and now I'm going to tighten that knot with my tweezers. Just like that. Let me slide the seed beads back down. So that's what we have so far. And now I'm going to slide on the pendant like this. Let me just move my beads out of the way so you can see. As you can see, I have the 2 seed beads to the right of the pendant. And now using this cord, I'm going to load 2 seed beads to the left of the pendant. So there's 1. And there's 2. bring them down. What I'm trying to do is anchor the pendant in place to make it easier to string the beads on. That way I don't have to worry about whether the pendant's in the middle of the cord or not. I hope that makes sense. So now I'm going to make another knot on this side. So once again, I'm creating a loop. I'm going to take the end and go through the loop and pull. And I'm holding onto the seed beads with my thumb because you want to keep them in place. Using my tweezers, I'm going to go in through the loop and grab the cord that's on the other side, just like this. And now I'm going to pull, remove my tweezers, and slide the knot down to tighten it up. So this is what we have so far. Pretty simple. So now I'm going to start stringing these beads, and I'm going to do one side of the necklace first, and then I'll do the other side. And I can't believe I did this again. I forgot some beads. Let me get them. I forgot these ones. These are the daisy spacer beads. So let me go ahead and get started. And again, this is completely random, guys. You want it to look random. Let me slide on this bead. And now I think I'm going to load one of these melon beads. And another daisy spacer bead. Like this. Bring it down. So that's what we have so far. And once again, I'm going to create a knot. So I'm going to make a loop. Take my end and go through the loop. Take my tweezers, go through the loop, and grab the cord on the other side. And you want to make sure you grab it right where the bead is, like this. And now I'm going to pull, remove my tweezers, and slide it down. And that's what it looks like. That looks really cute. I love it. So now I'm going to string on 2 seed beads. And bring them down. Same thing, make a loop. Take my end and go through the loop and pull. With my tweezers, I'm going to go through the loop and grab the cord on the other side, like this, and pull. Remove my tweezers and slide the knot down. So now we have those 2 seed beads on there. And now I think I'm going to attach one of these dangles. So this time it'll be a little bit different. This time I'm going to load 1 seed bead. One of these dangles. And another seed bead. So it looks like this. Make a loop. Take my end and go through the loop. And now with the tweezers, I'm going to go through the loop and grab the cord on the other side. Just like that. You want to make sure that you grab it right where the seed bead is, right beside the seed bead, I should say. And now I'm going to pull, remove my tweezers, and tighten that knot. So now the dangle is on there. And now I think I'm going to string on one of these agate beads. Bring it down. make a loop, take my end and go through the loop, go through the loop with my tweezers, grab the cord on the other side, pull, and tighten the knot. Let me move these out of the way. I think it's looking really cute so far. And by the way, I don't know if I explained why I'm using cord instead of beading wire. There are actually two reasons. One, it looks a little bit more boho. And two, I like the way it drapes for this project, because when you use beading wire, the necklace ends up being really curved on the bottom. Whereas if you use cord, it actually hangs like this, like a V. So now I'm going to load 2 seed beads. I'm basically putting 2 seed beads in between the bigger beads to create some space between the beads. And this is going to be really tricky now because my cat just jumped on my lap. So I'll see if I can do this the best way I can. I'm going to create a loop again around my finger, remove it from my finger like this, take my end and go through the loop, go through the loop with my tweezers, grab the cord on the other side, like this, pull, and slide the knot down to tighten it up. So there are my 2 seed beads. And I do want to talk about these leaf beads. They actually have holes that are pretty small. So what I had to do is use a bead reamer on all of them. This is the one that I like to use. It's a manual one. They do sell electric ones, but I like to use this one. And basically you just go in like this and you just ream it like this. And that makes the hole a little bit bigger and it makes it easier to slide the beads on. And you do want to do both sides. So you do one side like this, and then you want to insert it through the other end and do the other side. But anyway, it's the same process. I'm going to slide the cord through the bead. This one's a little trickier because, like I said, the holes are kind of small, but I think it's going in. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to wrap the cord around my finger, remove it from my finger, take the end and go through the loop, take my tweezers and go through the loop again, grab the cord on the other end, and pull, and slide the knot down. So now my leaf is on there, and I think it looks adorable. It really does. And that's basically it, guys. You just keep loading the beads in a random fashion, making sure that you space them out with seed beads. And by the way, you don't have to use 2 seed beads. You can use 3 if you want to, or 4. It's totally up to you. And I'm probably not going to use all of these beads. I'm not sure. I need to decide how long I want my necklace, but I'm thinking somewhere in the vicinity of maybe 25 inches, something like that. I might change my mind. So anyway, I'm going to keep stringing these beads on. I'm going to do one side first, and then I'll do the other side. Then I'll come back and show you what I did, and we'll finish off the necklace. So I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I've strung on all the beads, and I absolutely love it. I think it's very whimsical. And I did finish off this end, as you can see, with a clamshell cover. I'll show you how to do that in just a few moments. I need to finish the other end. So let me show you what I did. As you can see, I started with 2 seed beads by the pendant, and then a melon bead with 2 daisy spacer beads, and then another 2 seed beads with a dangle in between them, and then an agate bead, 2 seed beads, a leaf bead, 2 seed beads, a flower bead, 2 seed beads, a 6mm round, 2 seed beads with another dangle, a hishi bead, 2 seed beads, and so on and so forth. I really didn't follow any kind of pattern, but what I did do is I tried to distribute the dangles evenly, and they're about 2 3/4 inches apart. And of course I tried to distribute the colors evenly as well. But other than that, it's pretty random. And then I mirrored this side. So the bead arrangement is identical on both strands. And by the way, I have to confess, I did remove a couple of seed beads from the beginning, right by the first dangle. I did have to undo a couple of knots, which is very easy to do if you ever have to do that. But anyway, what you're seeing now is a little bit different than what I showed you earlier. But you really can't go wrong with these beads because they're so beautiful and the colors are so gorgeous and they coordinate so well together. Now at the end of this video, I am going to arrange both necklaces on my mat. So if you want to take a screenshot then, that would be a good time to do it. If you want to copy the exact arrangement that I have, it's up to you. So now we're going to finish this end. I have a clamshell cover, and I like these because they have this piece of metal, which is pretty thick. I prefer these to the ones that have two loops, because the loops on those are very thin, and they can slide through a gap of a jump ring, but this piece of metal is pretty thick, so the chances of it sliding through a gap of a jump ring are very slim. The first thing I'm going to do is to kink this piece of metal back a little bit, and now I'm going to open the clamshell cover. You do need to be careful when you do that because they will break if you mess with them too much. And now I'm going to slide the clamshell cover onto my cord, and I'm going in from the back like this. Let me use my pliers. You want to slide it all the way down like this. And now I'm going to make a knot, just like I've been doing. Feed my end through the loop. Use my tweezers. I'm going to go through the loop and grab that cord. Pull on it because you want to make sure the clamshell cover is sitting up against that knot in the back. And now I'm going to pull. Slip my tweezers out and slide that knot down. So now I've got a knot in there. I'm going to snip off the excess, leaving a little bit because I'm going to burn this end. And that kind of seals off the end. Now this is pretty secure, but I do want to put a little bit of glue in there just in case. I'm going to use GS Hypo Cement. And I'm simply going to apply just a little dab on the sides of this knot. You don't need that much. And I didn't want to do 2 knots because it would be too bulky inside that clamshell cover. And then I'd probably have a hard time closing it. So now we just need to close it. Just like that. With my round nose pliers, I'm going to go ahead and form a loop with this piece of metal. You do want to make sure you close the loop really well. Just like that. I really like the finished look of these clamshell covers. So now I just need to attach a clasp. Here's a clasp and 2 jump rings. They're 6mm in size. Let me open up one. Slide it onto the loop of the clamshell cover. Slide on the lobster clasp and close it up. And now let me open up this one. And slide it onto this clamshell cover. And that's pretty much it for this necklace. It really is a very whimsical and pretty necklace, and I hope you like it. So now we're going to move on to the second necklace, the shorter one. So let me get the materials for that. Here are the beads for this necklace. And if you're not familiar with these rods, I actually carry them in my Etsy store. They're called magic rods. I use them to preload my bead patterns, but they come in handy for other things as well. For example, if you have a bunch of beads, but you don't know if you have enough to make a necklace, you can preload them on these rods to figure it out. Of course, you could use a beading board if you wanted to, but it's really difficult to measure lengths when you're stringing on seed beads. And as you can see, I have 2 rods loaded with seed beads. The other nice thing about these rods is that you don't have to count beads. You simply load one rod and then you load a second one and hold it up against the first one. The other thing I like about these rods is that I find it much easier to pick up seed beads. It's much easier and much quicker. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, why not just string it onto beading wire directly? Of course you can do that as well, but you have to do one at a time. And if your beading wire is very thin, it can be pretty tedious. But with the rods, I pick them up a lot quicker, and then I offload from the rods to the beading wire in multiples. And I'll show you that in just a few moments. But anyways, you can see I've loaded the focal part of the necklace, which is going to be in the front, and these 2 are going to go in the back by the clasp. And of course I was able to measure this one, and then I did the math to figure out how many seed beads I needed for the rest of the necklace. So this one measures about 7.5 inches, and these 2 measure about 4 1/4 each. So they come in really handy for a multitude of reasons. And if you're interested, I'll leave a link to my Etsy store down below in the description section of this video. They come in 2 lengths, 12 inches and 9 inches. This one is 12 inches and these 2 are 9 inches in length. So now we're going to load them onto beading wire. I've cut myself a piece of beading wire. It measures about 20 inches. I recommend that you cut yourself 2 inches extra at each end for the crimping. And since my necklace is going to be 16 inches long, 20 inches should be sufficient. Now I will tell you that if you use the method that I'm going to show you, you probably won't need that much. I'm only recommending 2 inches for those of you who do the traditional crimping method, which means you fold the crimp over. But we're going to be squashing the crimp today and then hiding it in a clamshell cover. Let me place a clip at this end so I don't lose the beads. So to offload from the rods, I'm simply going to hold onto this end like this, slide the stopper off, grab several seed beads, and load them directly onto my beading wire. Just like that. I think it's a lot quicker to do it this way. So let me keep loading the rest of these. As you can see, I finished stringing on all the beads. And by the way, these are called spring clamps. I get them on Amazon. I can never remember how much I paid for them, but I know they're pretty cheap. You can get a bag of 10 for like $5, or maybe it's 20, I just don't remember. I just remember thinking they were very cheap, and they're pretty strong too. So now we're going to finish off the necklace. I'm going to use size 2 crimp tubes, and these are by Beadalon. I like to use Beadalon because the beading wire actually tells you on the back what size crimp tube to use. As you can see, for 0.015, you can use a size 2 crimp tube. Here are 2 of them. And it really doesn't matter what color because they're going to be hidden inside the clamshell cover. Here are 2 clamshell covers. So let me show you how to do this. I'm actually going to open up one of these clamshell covers first, just like I did with the other necklace. And I am going to bend this backward a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and slide it onto the beading wire, like this. And now the crimp tube. I'm going to go ahead and squash the crimp tube using my chain nose pliers. Let me turn it around and do it this way, just to make sure it's nice and secure. And before I trim it off, I'm going to test it to make sure that it's crimped properly and it's on there pretty well. And now I can go ahead and trim it off. And now let me go ahead and close it. And once it's close, we can go ahead and form a loop, just like we did before. And that's all there is to it. So now I need to slide the beads down to get rid of the spaces. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Here are 2 jump rings and a clasp. Let me open up this jump ring. And close it up. And now I'll open this one. I know a lot of you already know how to do this, but I also know there are a lot of beginners watching this video today. So this necklace is finished. And I think it's adorable. I hope you like it as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and arrange both necklaces on my board. So I'll see you in a few moments. Here are both necklaces. I know you can't see the whole thing. It was difficult to fit this long necklace within the frame of the camera, but I'm going to slide my board up and down in a few moments so you'll see the whole thing. I just wanted to show you how they would look together. And as you can see, they look absolutely adorable. Let me slide my board up. Actually, that's as far as it'll go, so let me slide the mat up. There's the bottom. And now let me slide it back down. There's the top. And I did promise that I would arrange the necklaces so that you could take a screenshot if you wanted to. So after I get done here, I'm going to pop up a picture on the screen and I'll leave it there for a few seconds. So please stick around for that. And as always, I'll model the necklaces at the end of this video. So please stay for that. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye.